Welcome back. My name is Nick, and I have Kyle here with me. Pecos with a zero on Instagram. He's a super talented artist. He also helps design a lot of our shirts, and we have some cool Dune shirts at thebestnerdyshirts.com. If you go there, you can find our cool posters and stickers, and we got shirts to all the different shows we cover, but we have some really cool Dune stuff based off of this Dune primer series that we're doing here right now. And today we're talking about the Mentats.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You did say it right, Nick. I'm proud of you, man.
Yes. And this can be a deep dive. We've done deep dives on The Voice, the Bene Gesserits, to Frank's vision of the future. It's really cool. I can't wait to jump into it. Kyle?
All right.
Off to space.
All right. So we're
go.
just gonna go right into the Mentats here. And with these overviews for these orders, I usually like to start with a quote. So this is from the Mentat Handbook, which is excerpted from the Children of Dune, right? So, above all else, the Mentat must be a generalist, not a specialist. It is wise to have decisions of great moment monitored by generalists. Experts and specialists lead you quickly into chaos. They are a source of useless nitpicking, the ferocious quibble over a comma. The Mentat generalist, on the other hand, should bring to decision-making a healthy common sense. He must not cut himself off from the broad sweep of what is happening in his universe. He must remain capable of saying, "There's no real mystery about this at the moment. This is what we want now. If it may prove wrong later, but we'll correct that when we come to it." The Mentat generalist must understand that anything which we can identify as our universe is merely part of larger phenomena. But the expert looks backward. He looks into the narrow standards of his own specialty. The generalist looks outward. He looks for living principles, knowing full well that such principles change, that they develop. It is to the characteristics of change itself that the Mentat generalist must look. There can be no permanent catalog of such change, no handbook or manual. You must look at it with as few preconceptions as possible, asking yourself, now what is this thing doing? So yeah, love that. So basically, according to the Dune appendices, Mentats are a class of imperial citizens trained for supreme accomplishments of logic, right?
Okay.
So that just doesn't mean just logic, right? It also means like computing, like cognitive thinking. Basically, they're human computers. So in the Dune universe, just as an overview here, instead of like creating computers or machines to solve logic or calculation issues, society trains selected humans to be Mentats.
And that's because of the uprising of the AI.
Correct. So the Mentat discipline was developed as a replacement to the computers and thinking machines, or AIs, following what was known as the Butlerian Jihad. You guys may have remembered that from the Bene Gesserit thing, and that's going to come up a lot because it's a pivotal conflict in Dune's history, right?
So it's basically them taking out Skynet.
Yes, essentially, yeah. And that banned the creation of machines in the image of a human mind, and that's a part of that's one of the commandments of the Orange Catholic Bible. Thou shalt not create a machine in the likeness of a human mind.
We need to do a deep dive on the Orange Catholic Bible too.
We will.
I feel like that would be definitely a cool topic to talk about. Now, quick question: we've seen a Mentat before, right? Like, is he the guy where his eyes went white?
Yeah, so in the movies, and we'll dive a little bit deeper on the Mentats we see in the movies. So we saw Thufir Hawat. That was him doing his computational thing. So that was a great visual cue, even though that's not from the books. In a visual medium, that's good to sort of convey to the audience, like, oh, something's happening here, right?
He's thinking.
Yes, and also Piter, the Harkonnen Mentat, is also a Mentat as well.
Oh.
And it's indicated by their tattoo, and we'll get into what that tattoo represents a little bit later.
And he's the polka dot man from Suicide Squad.
Yes, he is, Nick. Connecting the dots to polka dot man.
Oh.
Yes.
Now,
just a little bit more. So like the Mentats, while they facilitate what thinking machines and AIs used to do, the Spacing Guild and the Bene Gesserit also take up similar roles and stances. right?
Okay.
They don't like technology, and they have developed special humans and genetic lines to facilitate what machines used to do, right? So now a little bit of history of the Mentats. So their full name is the Order of the Mentats, and it was founded by a man named Gilbertus Albans. So he was the first to display the cognitive thinking and computer-like calculation capacity necessary for a Mentat in history. So like in the aftermath of the Butlerian Jihad, like computers and the other forms of thinking technology were like banned due to the OCB, like we said, the Orange Catholic Bible's commandment, right? So this commandment was one of the numerous like other like anti-AI laws that made owning any AI device punishable by death. So like people don't even have
open
calculators.
Chat would have been punishable by death.
What's up?
Open chat would have been punishable by death.
Correct. Yes, that would be an abomination, Nick. An abomination. I mean, people
Whoopsies.
like I was like saying, like people don't even have calculators. Right? It's nuts. So Mentats like trained as replacements to this technology. So what do they do? What do they facilitate? So this is some of these uses. So like Mentats are used extensively by the great houses, primarily as like political advisors. We see that with Thufir Hawat and with Piter, right? So thanks to their vast memories and ability to organize huge amounts of data, they often provide like valuable insights that would like otherwise be lost, right? They can also retain information to great capacity, right? So they're also memory banks. And then like limited Mentat training is also used to augment individuals destined for like other political or like military roles. So like Paul's one of those, right? He is like in the books, it's explicitly said he's trained in Mentat ways in order to
dang, he is the full package. Ladies,
yes,
if you're looking.
Yeah. And then so the Mentats are also used to like a lesser extent by the Bene Gesserit. Though unlike the Mentats employed by the great houses, all Bene Gesserit Mentats are preconditioned Reverend Mothers. So this would be used to a much greater extent during the reign of the God Emperor, but I'm getting into way far into the like history.
And I already spoiled one at the end of Bene Gesserit's video, so I'm trying to dial back my spoilers.
yeah. I will only loosely veil hints at to future stuff. And then so now how do you get to this certain level of like Mentat ability? Well, they have a pretty like strict training regimen. So like the role of a Mentat requires first off, you also start as a child, right? So you're also pre-selected, and then at age 15, I believe, is like the age in which you can choose to take up the mantle of a Mentat and actually do the earnest training that is then required for you to like develop your full skills, right? All before that is all preparation and just like and just like training your mind to be within that frame of reference for a Mentat. So the role of a Mentat requires a certain degree of like, mental ability and strict mental conditioning. So like not all Mentats are of equal ability also, right? So like, but all are typically able to like guarantee employment with one of the power brokers or factions of like the known universe, right? So Mentats are not only like human calculators, they're like they have immense mathematical skills. They have exceptional memory and perception, which serve as the foundations for their it's called a supralogical hypothesizing and like strategic theory and tactical knowledge, right? So they're also great military advisors as well. So Mentats are able to gather large amounts of data and devise concise analysis in like a process that goes far beyond logical deduction, right?
So they're kind of like Spock.
In a way, well, like it's interesting because like I would say like Spock is almost like it's more like he's memorized logical principles and then tries to apply it to human existence, right? And
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. But so they can. Another thing the Mentats can do is they can cultivate what's called the naive mind. So basically, it's a mental state that is devoid of any preconception or prejudice. So it's perfect objectivity, basically. So like in that state, they can extract the essential patterns or logic of data and deliver like useful conclusions, like with varying degrees of certainty, right? So like it's said that like when provided with sufficient enough data, it allows them to deduce probable future outcomes. Similar to prescience, like Paul's prescience, but of course not as specific and
Mm,
fine-tuned, right? So it's all like, here's the probabilities that I
yeah.
see unfolding, right? Yeah.
Question: with their abilities, is spice involved?
So no.
Oh, interesting.
We'll
Okay, that's
we'll
new.
yes, we'll get to that. We'll
Okay,
actually
okay.
get to
I'm
that. They
sorry.
actually
I'm sorry.
have
I
something
get
that
I get
allows,
super
yeah,
excited.
yeah. So kind of talking a little bit about this training. Like, so Thufir Hawat, he actually had he had an innate mentat ability,
Oh,
right? Like
really?
he was sort of like, he came naturally to it, kind of like someone who's gifted or a savant at something. That
Mm,
was kind of how he started out. So like, and so this made him one of the few individuals whose abilities were immense enough for him to be an exclusive advisor, like exclusive. There's no other Mentat that House Atreides has except Thufir Hawat. Um,
wow.
and even the Padisha Emperor is fearful of Thufir's capabilities, which says a lot about what he can do, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, so the ability to become a mentat is a talent limited to a small number of people. So like
Mm,
not, like not everyone can become one. So like, so those with the discipline are prized in whatever role they choose. So like a
mm,
mentat's capabilities can be greatly increased by taking sappho juice. So that's the drug that
mm,
it basically it basically increases their mentat abilities
mm.
twice or threefold, which is nuts. So like, but if you drink too much, it leads to addiction, right? They have sappho
Oh.
addiction, and that's what it. Why in the book it's referenced as the red lips, their red stained lips. Even in David
Oh.
Lynch's film, he included the red stains. But
Mm.
one thing with what Villeneuve did is, he's like, that looks almost like they look like kids that got into the Kool-Aid. So like he, because he's like, it's going to be really hard for people to take these people with these immense logical and like deductive skills really seriously.
With these red
So what we're
lips.
going to do is we're going to do the tattoo that still
Mm.
denotes them sipping the juice, the sappho juice, right? So it's
Mm.
like, it's like denoting that. And then, so basically, sappho is extracted from the root of the Akaz tree, and its use, and yeah, it doubles or triples a Mentat's processing power. So, like, kind of like
Do we know where
overclocking.
this tree is grown?
Yeah. So actually, the Akaz tree is also named after the planet it's found on, which is the planet of Akaz.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, basically, it's like overclocking your PC, basically.
Ah.
So like, there is a famous quote. Well, I didn't realize this, but like, I had to go back and reference the book. It's not in the book. It actually originated from the David Lynch film, and
Oh.
it's the litany of the Mentat before Piter drinks the sappho juice. Which is, it is by will alone I set my mind into motion. It is by the juice of sappho that thoughts acquire speed. The lips acquire stains. The stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind into motion. And
Mm.
yeah, it's so yeah. sorry,
Dang.
sorry, I trailed off there. Um, Now, all this is really cool, right? But there are a small subset of mentats called twisted mentats,
Oh man.
and Piter de Vries is one of them.
Really?
Yeah. So to go a little bit further before we get into some of the characters, so like the so mentat training and conditioning requires them to operate within an ethical framework.
Okay.
So that's actually also a part of their training, is to use, it's
Mm.
not cold logic, because that's one of the things that gives them that separates them from the AIs, from the thinking machines, because thinking machines were cold
They're
logic.
still
It was just,
human.
yes, they're still human. They take in the human element to their analyses, right?
Mm.
So like, for some purposes, this isn't, now of course, for some purposes, like the House Harkonnen, this isn't desired, right?
Mm.
So the Beni Tleilax, or the Tleilaxu, right, are known to condition some mentats to be twisted. So these individuals, such as Piter de Vries, are able to use their supralogical abilities free of any ethical restraints or limitations.
Basically
So they
becoming AI.
Basically, yeah, they can become a cold, calculating, hard machine, or use it to just to nefarious purposes, just for the sake of being evil,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which technically can also be a human characteristic to a
Being
certain degree.
evil? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at Anakin Skywalker. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Or Darth Vader. Okay.
Definitely twisted Mentats, yes. No. So, the Mentats that we do know, at least from the movie and the books, right? At least the first book, is Thufir Hawat, the Mentat for House Atreides.
Yes.
We have Piter de Vries, the twisted Mentat, and he is for House Harkonnen.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and this character hasn't made an appearance in the movies, but was a character in the books. He might be making it in the second movie, we don't know. But Hasamir Finring of House Finring. So remember, Hasamir is the childhood friend of the Padisha Emperor. So essentially, Hasamir is like the Emperor's own Mentat. It's like his personal Mentat that he has, right?
Buddies.
Yeah. And then there are lesser trained Mentats. So currently there is Paul, right? So his logic and computing skills like help him not only solve tricky situations while like lost in the desert and stuff, right? But also like assess political situations from the most logical and like beneficial standpoints, right? And then there are other lesser trained Mentats, but those are in the future and would go into spoiler territory. So
well, I'm guessing every leader of the house would have some kind of training, right?
I would, you know what? I would imagine to some extent because like having lesser trained Mentat abilities helps you in politics and military assessment, right?
So you would think like there has to be like his council, they have to have some sort of training. It's like, basic training for the army or something, or, or like you learn certain things that.
Now some of my extended research. So I found out that Mentat training, it's not like Paul can like go to the Mentat college and learn how to be. No. So what it's almost like a church, right? So like the Mint, basically you are given like clearance to then go to the Mentat order clears you to then be assigned to a house. And so then you are a Mentat of that house, and then you can train their like heirs or like their people in Mentat ways. So that's how they facilitate and control their knowledge, right? Is that through these people they can do that. Yeah.
So it's basically apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Kind of. You follow a master.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like an agency. Yeah. But like, more medieval. I don't know.
And on that note, I'm just kidding. No. Were there any other topics you were going to hit?
That was about it for my main.
That was awesome.
Stuff,
and it's cool too because it's not really talked about or shown too much in the movie. You kind of get hints and glimpses at it, but it's good to know the back because obviously they're going to play a bigger part in the overarching story.
And I will say, if anyone's interested in further reading, and I didn't include most of this because I wanted to remain strictly to canon. But there is, and I actually found the PDF, there is a circulation of what's called the Mentat Handbook, and it's an actual like practical application of Mentat abilities, or at least Mentat mind training. I don't know how effective it is. I mean, I skimmed through it. I'm like, this is cool. It talks about the frame of mind you need to be in and like how to increase certain abilities for like reading, like comprehension and like information gathering, data set analysis, that sort of stuff. Pretty cool, but I don't know how effective it is. But if anyone wants to give it a shot, look it up. It's a really quick Google search. You'd probably be able to find it.
Yes.
It's what the fans call New Dune. And it's not of Frank Herbert. So, though the excerpt from the Mentat Handbook is from him, but yeah, just that excerpt.
Well, thank you for all the info and knowledge today. By the way, we've been covering Dune from the voice to the Bene Gesserits to the houses to even Frank Herbert's vision of the future. By the way, we have a really cool site, bestnerdyshirts.com. We've been putting our Dune artwork there, his Dark Materials, other shows we watched to Severance. And if you're out here in any, so if you go there, check it out. By the way, Kyle designs a lot of the shirts there. If you can go follow him on Instagram, Pecos with a 0. He's a super talented artist. go let them know you say hi and you're coming from AsArt. That'll be awesome. But stay tuned. We're here until the next Dune movie, and hopefully a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth and a seventh
Yes.
Dune series is going on. And
all
Kyle
the way
was telling
to Chapter
me,
House, baby.
you were telling me
Heck
about
yeah.
like an extended edition maybe that they might be releasing.
So, well, it's not that they might be.
You
but
know
like,
what? Let's save that. Let's save that for another topic
Sure.
for another day. We'll tease
Sure,
you guys.
okay.
Subscribe. We're gonna talk about that here on this channel, and we'll see you on the next AsArt. Actually,
Ooh, almost gave that one away. No.